Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hi, my name is Hasha Hanani binti Abdul Hadi. My topic for assignment EVT474 is Haze and air pollution. This assignment is prepared for Dr. Sabarina Ahmad Yunus.
For months, fires have blazed on agricultural lands across Indonesia. The fires occur every year as landowners and companies clear land for oil palm and pulpwood timber, two of Indonesia's most important plantation crops. This year, the El Niño weather phenomenon makes it worse by stretching the dry season. NASA satellites have detected more than 116,000 likely fires. That's more than during the year of devastating fires in 2006. The government said almost 3 million hectares of land, an area larger than the state of Massachusetts, have burned. The toxic haze has been a regular presence in neighbouring Singapore and Malaysia, and spread more than 1,000 kilometres away to the Philippines and Thailand. At the height of the fires, a plume of carbon monoxide spread from Papua New Guinea to India. At home in Indonesia, more than 40 million people are exposed to the haze. More than 500,000 have sought medical treatment for respiratory illnesses. Flights have been regularly cancelled and delayed for months. Companies are facing losses too. Palm oil companies are predicting smaller yields in 1 to 2 years due to drought and limited exposure to sunlight. Pulpwood companies say production will likely fall as fires burn on timber lands. The government so far has spent about $35 million fighting the fires. Rain in Indonesia in recent days has brought temporary relief to millions of people, but scientists say the dry season is likely to last for another month, and the El Niño will extend into early 2016.
One of the worst cases of haze happens in 2015, which is the 2015 Southeast Asian haze. The air pollution crisis affected several countries including Brunei, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, southern Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia and the Philippines. It was caused by forest fires resulting from slash and burn practices, principally on the Indonesian islands of Sumatra and Kalimantan, which then spread quickly in the dry season. More than 28 million people in Indonesia alone were affected by the crisis, and more than 140,000 reported respiratory illness. On 24 October of 2015, the Pollutant Standards Index (PSI) hit a record high of 1,801, while the healthy reading is below 100. It was recorded in the province of Central Kalimantan. The Indonesian government calculated that the cost of mitigating the haze situation would range from 300 to 475 trillion rupiah, which is up to 35 billion to 47 billion dollar. So what is haze? Haze is an atmospheric phenomenon where dust, smoke and dry particles in air obscure the sky's clarity, which prevents you from seeing distant objects clearly. So what causes haze? Haze comes from two sources. The sources is natural source and human activities. First source of haze is volcanic activity, which is a natural source of haze. In the aftermath of major volcanic eruptions, sulfur dioxide, SO2, hydrochloric acid, HCl, and ashes are distributed into the atmosphere. The haze of sulfur dioxide droplets created by volcanic gases can have a lasting effect. Hanging aerosols became a headlining problem in Southeast Asia following the eruption of Mount Pinatubo in 1991. Next is windy weather. The wind carries desert dust into the atmosphere. The minerals in the dust and dirt can be blown over great distance, allowing absorption of sunlight, warming the area and the dust. Wind also lifts water from the oceans, causing the salts to be evaporated into the air, causing haze. The cloud formation process is sped up by sea salts rolled as cloud condensation nuclei. Clouds produced in these conditions stay longer in the sky. Due to the chemical reaction between the air and water molecules and the pollutants, some clouds are unable to release the built-up water they contain and can float around in the sky for many numbers of years. Number 3 is human practices. Human activities like forest burning, factory emission, automobile traffic pollution, and burning of coal and other fossil fuels are said to outweigh natural sources in the production of hazes. Forest fires in Sumatra, Indonesia are the main cause of haze that affected many countries. Many farmers in Indonesia practice shifting agriculture, which is a traditional farming method that involves clearing tracts of forested land for cultivation using the slash and burn technique. We continue with how haze is monitored. So an air quality index is commonly used to indicate the amount of pollution in the air over a specified period of time. Each country has its own index that correspond to national air quality standard. So for instance, air quality in Malaysia is reported as the Air Pollutant Index (API), which measures carbon monoxide, CO, ozone, O3, nitrogen dioxide, NO2, sulfur dioxide, SO2, and particles that are 10 micrometer or less in width, PM10. Next is haze effects on health. Haze affects our eyes as it causes eye inflammation or conjunctivitis. It also affects our nose as it causes nasal irritation which stimulates mucus production. Haze also affects our throat as it causes throat irritation that leads to mucus discharge which can clog the respiratory tract. Lastly, haze affects our lungs as it can cause lung tissue inflammation and scarring. So patients with lung, heart, and severe asthma problem may have difficulty breathing. At higher levels of pollution, most people will start to feel breathless and cough. Next is haze effects on health, but we're going to look at the short-term effect and the long-term effect. So among healthy individuals, short-term exposure to high levels of haze particles may cause irritation to the eyes, nose, and throat. Such irritation resolves on its own in most cases. It also can aggravate pre-existing heart or lung disease. For example, haze may trigger asthma attacks and acute bronchitis in patients with lung disease. So the long-term effect, long-term exposure of haze can potentially lead to development of chronic bronchitis, reduced lung functions, and increased risk of cancer and even premature death. Next, we're going to see the other effects of haze. Haze can affect tourism. A drop in tourist number will have negative impact on the country. It can also disturb the income of people that work in the tourism industry and disturb the economy. Haze also impacts our daily routine. Adults find it difficult to carry out their daily routine, such as going to work, while for children, schools are forced to close due to poor air quality. Lastly, haze affects agriculture, as it will disturb the photosynthesis process. This is due to the insoluble aerosol attached to the leaves, which can result in lower photosynthesis, lower yields, lower carbon dioxide reduction, and increased greenhouse effect. As a result, plants will have problems in the fertilization process, resulting in decreased food production. Finally, last but not least, is haze prevention. First is laws must be changed and strengthened. Legislation must be urgently passed to protect all forests and all peat, no matter how deep it is, or whether it is in existing concession or not. The government must also take other measures such as clearing the web of confusing, contradictory, policies across different sectors, and create a transparent and credible system mapping land use and ownership. Next is companies must end their role in peat and forest destruction. Companies operating in risky areas like Sumatra need to recognize there is a problem and then choose to be part of the solution. This starts with a commitment. No deforestation, which means immediately stopping the bulldozer while implementing its commitment. Already there has been a wave of momentum, which is from the household brands through producers on the ground. So that is all from me. Thank you for listening.